The following production is intended for entertainment purposes only. We are not legal professionals. We do not speak for any government agency, and the opinions expressed here are our own. Relax. Hey, Clayton here. There's going to be another version of this at the end, but I understand most people don't make it to the end of the video, which is fine. So I'm going to ask you here and now, write in the comments, either on Facebook or on YouTube or on Instagram. Write in the comments on things that you want us to talk about, like topics I'm talking about topics from military, law enforcement, interdiction. Justin was a narc, a detective. He is also a real detective besides just being a narc. We were both on interdiction or real estate or physical exercise or any of these topics that you want to hear about. We have in the pipeline. We just don't know if anyone's interested. So write in the comments what you would like to hear about. Spirituality or evangelicalism. I mean, we talk about that plenty, but if you have questions about that, put it in the comments. We want to know.
That's a whole vibe.
Yeah.
In that picture, that's an entire vibe.
Yes. That's what my dad was. Like, you've obviously never seen him or talked to him, but you know that vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have maybe it's a bad habit, I don't know. I'll see somebody and I'll just make up their entire life story.
Yeah.
And because I never ask them, it's never challenged. And since it's never challenged, I'm never wrong. So I'll be like, oh yeah, I know everything about this person. 100%.
Yes. I like being wrong on that. This happens a few times, and it's happened recently, not in like an extreme way, but like where you meet someone and you have a first impression that like, oh, this person isn't going to like me. This person is not going to vibe with me. But I still put my best foot forward and, consciously, I'm actively trying to be friendly with this person, and I get to talk with this person. Then I find out this person's actually really cool.
Yeah.
This person is actually really nice. I love being proved wrong about people that I have a first negative impression about.
Yeah. Yeah. There's, I don't know that I can think of any off the top of my head, but there's been times where I've liked someone. Maybe it was because of their face or whatever. Like some reason I look at them like, nope, I don't like you.
Yeah.
And then later on come to find out, they're actually pretty decent people.
Yeah.
That's probably pretty few and far between. Because once I decide,
yeah,
it's really hard for me to change my opinion about people. Not so much things. Like I change my opinion about things all the time. But I think that's because I feel like I'm generally right. Like I feel like I've got a pretty good gauge or radar or whatever for determining what kind of person somebody is pretty quick.
Yeah. And I love that about you, how you think you're right about most things.
how I am right about most things, but no, it's interesting though. I hadn't really thought about how maybe there really are just a handful of like archetypes.
Yes.
And then everybody's a version of that.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that before, but that makes sense.
I feel like they are predominantly A type, and there's usually a combination of different things in them. But even those smaller combinations, like those, I don't know, those weird quirks that maybe aren't aligned with their major personality, is still something very familiar that you've seen before.
Yeah. Yeah. And, one of the things that it was hard for me, and I'm sure it was hard for you, is like being in law enforcement with those specific archetypes and those specific character traits that even though I was very popular and people liked me, I just knew that I didn't fit in. And an example of that is like law enforcement is very type A, very
I think they like to present that they're type A.
Okay, so that's something that I was going to get to. Like this bravado, like super tough. Oh, somebody did this, I'd shoot them or I'd do this or that. No, you wouldn't. Shut up.
No.
You're not fooling anyone. But I never really felt like I had to be type A. Like
Right.
I'm willing to take charge here, but I'm also perfectly fine to, hey, as long as what we're talking about isn't dumb or dangerous, like I don't care. Let's do it your way. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
So I had a hard time, like, but it made me feel like I didn't really belong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about because I think I kind of saw that, or I saw you in that space. You were my supervisor for years. I saw you in that space. I know exactly what you're talking about. I navigated those waters a little bit differently. I honestly did try to be friendly and nice to everyone. Even if like there was even like if I had heard that you didn't like me, that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't like you. Like there was uh a person that we both know that you're friends with that I know does not like me. And that makes me laugh, but I like that person. I think I of the stories that I've heard about their judgment and their character and their decision making, I think I like that person. They don't like me. I think I have that ability to separate it. But when we were working there, I'm actively trying to change this, but this is just a part of my personality. It's hard for me to let go of something that I know is not right or I know is not true, especially if I say, "Hey, why are we doing this?" Your answer is either because I said so or because that's the way we do it. That doesn't work with me, and I'm willing to let a lot of things go, except for that.
When you say you won't let go of that, what do you mean? Like you just file that person away as saying, okay, this is that type of person, and you just kind of write them off, or what do you mean you can't let go of it?
Oh no, I have to confront them about it.
Oh, okay.
I have to say, "Hey, sergeant, detective,"
Yeah.
and I will do it. I will try to do it in a very political or diplomatic way, a very respectful way. But it's I don't know. I imagine it. Well, I know it's like the same way as I don't know. Like someone just said something to you that you just can't let go.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things like I cannot physically leave the space without saying, "Hey, can you explain to me? Can you
Just so you
explain to me?"
know, you're wrong.
Yeah.
I just thought I should tell you.
And surprisingly, that doesn't make you a lot of friends.
Yeah, people don't like that.
Yeah.
No, I I'm generally, I think, fine with letting people be wrong or whatever, but where this really it kind of gets me in trouble. I have the hardest time not like it would be so much easier. My life would be so much easier. My relationships would be if I could just keep my beliefs to myself, keep my
Yeah.
questions to myself, but I can't
Yeah.
because like I think that's part of how I process things is by talking to people about it or like throwing something out. Here's something I'm thinking about. Um, and it just causes problems. Like it would be a lot easier if I would just shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a version of how I feel. It'd be a lot easier if I just keep my pie hole shut sometimes.
Yeah, but I think that I don't know, for one, like my my personality is I need to talk about it. I need to think through it.
Hmm.
But then two, like I don't have a lot of tolerance for BS.
Yeah.
And like particularly, especially with religion, um, politics, somewhat. Like I'll I'm very quiet about politics,
Yeah.
but I think I think about it a lot. I just don't really verbalize how wrong people are when it comes to that sort of thing.
Yeah. Uh I am finding myself given a lot of grace in my mind, Grace, whatever. That's just me petting my own ego. I try to give a lot of understanding to people with different religious views, obviously, but even the ones that I know are based on a misinterpretation of the Bible, or like based on things that it just doesn't say that. Like, you guys built this whole theology around something it just doesn't say. I'm giving in my mind, I'm allowing that a lot more. I don't feel the need to object unless it's on my bugaboo list, and that's only with my family. Like, I wouldn't spit that on anyone else. Because I mean, of all the reasons, I think if it works for them, it works for them. Like, who am I to say something's wrong if it's working for you? More
Yeah.
power to you. And B, I could be wrong. Like, I think I feel closer to God than I have been ever, but maybe I'm way off base, and maybe they're right the whole time, and maybe the stuff that I thought I learned is gonna prove to be false someday. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm I'm not judging people at all about their religious views. Like I said,
Do you-
unless it's on my list and you're in my vehicle.
but do you find so you're very accepting of different views, but are you still accepting, still gracious toward people that aren't? So like, you're welcoming of all these views. This person is like, this is the one and only way.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself being gracious to them, or do you have more trouble with that side?
I want to say, and it is a part of my personality typically, that I'm fine with those people. Like, that's fine. I've since when I was in the military, we had the Westboro Baptist Church showing up to protest our deployments when we were leaving and coming home. In law enforcement, we've always ran into people didn't like us typically. We were never the good guy on the scene. I'm okay with someone who thinks that I'm going to hell. Even I'm okay with that. Uh, yeah, but there's obviously examples of the opposite in my life where I would have said something, or I have said something, but typically I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
You can not like me.
So that doesn't deter you. If somebody doesn't like you, that doesn't make you not like them.
Oh no, not at all. That doesn't make me not like them. I'm conscious of the fact that I'm not going to go up and talk to them because I think that they don't like me and I don't want to make them uncomfortable. But that has no bearing on the fact whether I think they're good, whether I like them.
Yeah. I think that, yeah, I guess to some degree, like, I can accept that I like this person, they don't like me, whatever, I'll get over it. But more often than not, if I think you don't like me, I'm like, good, because I didn't like you anyway. I did. I never wanted to be your friend. I hoped you wouldn't like me, actually. This is real convenient. Like,
Holy cow.
I go dark real quick.
Yeah.
If I feel like, if I feel like you don't like me, like, um, I'll usually give like 3 opportunities. I'll ask you 3 times to go do whatever, pickleball, go for a run, camping, whatever it is. But that's it. Like, after the 3rd
Yeah.
time, it's on you. If you want to be friends, then you're gonna have to invite me to something. And it's not that I'm mad. It's just that, okay, I guess it ain't working out.
I think this comes from, I'm going to dissect this a little bit in my own Freudian interpretation, right?
Okay.
So there's a difference in the differences that we're talking about in our behavior and our perception of people comes from you always choose to be friendly, and like you're always putting that out there no matter what.
I gotta pause you. It froze again. So
Oh,
you said it comes from.
childhood trauma, and like it comes from you trying to be friendly. You're always trying to be friendly, and I am too, but like you always want people to like you, and when they don't, it's like an immediate release. You're like, whew, good, cut that burden off. I didn't like you anyway. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm the
Yeah.
Terminator. I don't approach that because this is what I was thinking of, is because I've always been, it's not as quirky or as cool as it might sound, but I've always been weird in social interactions and social situations, enough for me to recognize it, enough for me to recognize that other people aren't acting like I act. I've kind of always come in with almost an expectation that a good percentage of these people aren't going to like me, and that's okay. And that is not going to impact whether I think they're good or bad or not, because it just happens. And the difference is, I think you went into it hoping that these people would like you.
Yeah, and I think probably even like with an expectation that they would.
Right.
Because
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, most people like me. And so I'm just assuming that, oh, you'll like me too. Now, with you, you're one of my favorite people, but I can see, like, I don't think you're as easy to like. You're not as easy to be around.
No,
For me, you are. Like, I'd be around you every day.
I hear
But
that.
I can see how people would be like, nah, I'm gonna stay home. You said Clayton's coming? Actually, I got plans.
It's weird. That has happened many times in my life. That's almost a recurring theme.
I think though it's just because I think that it's I've said this probably 1,000 times. It's the same reason I think you were good at interdiction, because you don't mind saying things that make people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Oh, your grandma died? How'd she die? Where's the funeral? And it's if it's a made up story, they're gonna have trouble with that.
Mm-hmm.
I might want to be likable. I'm like, oh, your grandma died? I'm sorry, drive safe.
Yeah.
Don't let me keep you any longer.
The first night I worked for, and I'll change his name, but when I went back to third shift coming from Interdiction.
Hold on. You said you were going to change his name?
Well, I'm gonna just drop the volume out. I don't want to say anyone's name on a podcast.
Oh, you're gonna
say that again?
You're gonna edit it out?
Yeah, I'm just gonna drop the volume out whenever I say his name.
Okay, because you said I'm gonna change his name, and then you went forward with his first
with his actual name.
Yeah. If you would have
imaginary
added his middle,
guy,
that'd been even better.
We'll just say Justin Crafton.
Yeah.
No, the first night I worked for was a brand new lieutenant, and I was coming off of interdiction to help with the Manning crisis, and I was going back to third shift. Stetson Johnson had a chase on the south, kind of like South Meridian, and it ended with a crash, and he tased the guy, and it went to the hospital, and yada yada. Well, the guy who ran, the ambulance was on scene, and the guy was getting cleared because he was a big boy, and he started to have like cardiac arrest from him running from the police and getting tased. So he's in the back of that firefighter ambulance. He's in the back of the firefighter ambulance. He's in custody, but his family has shown up to take possession of his property before we take him out of there. One of the ladies, like, we're all done. We're all wrapped up. We're just waiting for this scene. And, we're all just kind of being busy or busybodies. His family, there was this lady, she goes, hey, can you give me that keychain? It's very sentimental to me. And everybody's like, oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I said, wait, how is a keychain sentimental to you? And she was like, well, and kind of laughed. And like, people were looking at me like I'm supposed to know what well means. Like cops are looking at me. They're like, yeah, well. I'm
it's
like, huh?
It's sentimental, bro. Just give her the keychain.
Yeah. So I'm like, no, how is it sentimental to you? Help me understand. And she's like, well, it belongs to somebody who's no longer with us. And I said, yeah, he's in the back of that ambulance, right? So it is. And she was like, no, they've passed away. I'm like, no, he didn't. He's right there. And I know what she's saying, but I'm just, so I make her spell it out. It's someone else that died and the keys belong to them. I'm like, oh, here you go. Drive safe. And looked at me for like, he had a pregnant pause when he was looking at me for a while. He's just like, why would you say that to that woman? I was like, I don't know. It's a good question, right? He was like, yeah, I just would never think to say that. That can be an example of how I'm hard to like, or how maybe I'm not for everyone.
Yeah. Or I'm not sure if I'll be able to come up with this. Another example would be, I don't know, I'm picturing like sitting in a meeting, maybe some guests, maybe some community leaders or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And I can picture you walking in and say, it smells like shit in here. And everybody else is like, bro, like, dude, this is this is Miss Martinson or whatever. Like, yeah, she's here to she brought us cookies or something like that. Like I just picture everybody else was thinking it, but you said it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see myself doing that. I wanted to protest against that at first, but like I wouldn't do that. But yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you would. On your business profile, looking good, dude.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good looking picture.
I appreciate it. That's a profile picture I paid for, or a headshot that I paid for. And
okay.
Yeah, I think there's a difference, an obvious difference. I've had some other headshots before, but this one looked pretty dang good.
Yeah, I was impressed.
There's a couple others. One that's like the same. She took pictures of me with and without glasses. One that's the same, and the other one, but it's just backed out. Like it's instead of me being up close, like my profile picture is, it's kind of more with me and scenery. The other one is the same profile, but I'm wearing my glasses. And I selected the glasses. Like she's like, pick, two of them that you like. And so I selected one with glasses and one without. But I thought I was like just spinning my wheels on the one with glasses because it had this giant glare. Like, how are you going to get that glare out? The flash from the camera, Well, what she did is she matched it because she took me at all these different angles with and without glasses. She matched the cutout of my eye without glasses and just layered that onto the glasses. And so it looks perfect.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to ask, there's a guy that we both know, that he had some headshots done a while back. And I sent him a text. I was like, dude, you're looking good, man. Like you dropped a lot of weight. You're looking buff. It was photoshopped. He was like, yeah. It's like, yeah, I paid for a service to have him kind of clean it up or, whatever. And
wow.
I felt kind of dumb because I was like, dang, well, they did a good job because I couldn't tell that it was Photoshop.
What a weird risk to take. He's gonna make himself seem thinner. And whenever he shows up, he's gonna be like, hey, sorry.
I mean, I'm not talking, I'm not saying that it like he's not a fat guy to begin with. But you know what I mean? Like just maybe drop 15 pounds, got kind of, been working out, that sort of thing. Which by the way, have you, what are you doing for your workouts? Are you still working out?
Yeah, I have to get better at a routine. Man, you're freezing up all the time and it's hard for me to think.
So I think when you freeze, I freeze.
Okay.
So maybe we can just plan on like if we see the other person frozen, just pause for a second. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to get better at a routine. Routine is my thing, but I'm still being very active lately. And it's mostly running. And like if I run, and I'm going to run after this. If I run, I want to run for at least an hour. And I want to keep my heart rate. I got this from Captain Pierce, and I think it's working. I know it's working, but I want to keep my heart rate in zone 3, which for me is 135 to 155. And in that zone, I want to keep it there as much of the run as I can. I want to stay in that zone.
Why is that?
Because it's putting it's putting less stress on your heart. Your heart is still getting a good exercise, but it's not necessarily coming under undue stress, and it's beating the blood throughout your body in a way that it's not causing soreness. You're not stressing your blood vessels, and you're not your muscles as much as you would be if you're in zones 4 or higher, and so your recovery is better. Your recovery is better. Yeah, that's the biggest part, is your recovery is better, and you're able to build your endurance. So I'm not so sore I can't run the next day or the day after that, because I stayed in zone 3. I'm not killing myself every time. That's what I'm trying to do.
So then when you say build endurance, are you saying that you, so if you do a lower heart rate for longer, it's better than doing a higher heart rate for shorter in terms of being able to go longer next time?
Yeah, so there's obviously pros and cons to each, but yeah, it, as far as building endurance and building comfort, like your heart rate, your heart will adjust to the zone 3 sooner than it'll adjust to the higher zones, because it has to stress itself out to get to those higher zones. And it still has to work for zone 3. Zone 3 is not easy, but it adjusts to that easier than that would the higher stress zones.
Yeah. And then I guess so as you keep doing that, it just means that it takes that your heart rate stays lower, right?
Yes.
So next time you do the same run, your heart rate will be a little bit lower, a little bit lower, a little bit lower.
And
so you can increase your intensity and
yes,
maintain that. Okay.
So my goal is, and I can do this right now, but I get into zone 4. I want to run a 6 to a 6.5 mile in an hour.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying 6.5 minute pace, and I was going to say, holy cow. Okay.
No, I want to run 6 to 6.5 miles in that hour. Like, I want to spend the majority of my time at 6 or above. And I can do that, but my heart gets into zone 4 when I do that. And I've noticed that, like, when I do that, I've plateaued there forever. I've always been able to do that. Well, since my mid 30s, that's where I've been. And there's been no improvement, no incline or decline. I run at 6.5 miles in an hour, and I can do that, but no faster. It's just not in me to go faster.
Yeah.
Since I'm doing this, and I've only been doing it for a couple weeks, but since I've been trying to keep my heart in zone 3 and in these hour-long runs, it's definitely I'm just more comfortable running. And so, like, right now I'm at I can run at a 5.8 miles per hour for an hour and stay in zone 3. But when I get to 6, I'm in zone 4. And so I'm keeping it cruising on 5.8 for now.
Is that primarily on the treadmill, or? Yeah, I guess it must be. Okay.
Yeah. And there's no excuse for it except that I don't like the hills. I'm in a super hilly area, and I slow way down going uphill.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I want to work on my consistent pace right now.
We've got that Ragnar race out in, I think it's Fayetteville. It's in Arkansas. And I've got no interest in running. I'm just going to be support. Like I like hanging out with everybody. I'm going to cook. But I've got zero interest in running. But I'm the same. Like hills and wind will absolutely do me in. Like it's crazy. Like I can run long distance, or not anymore. I used to be able to. It was like my short runs were 8 miles. Like those were my short run days.
How long would it take you to do that?
Pretty consistently a 10-minute mile. Like,
okay.
Yeah, and so I'd have, and that's the average. So I would have on the way out, I might have like an 8.5 minute mile, one of them, and then 9, and then it just gets progressively slower to where my last mile might be 11, but it all averages out. No wind, I can run for forever. But you throw some hills, even moderate incline, and it just does me in.
You would not like Sugar Hill. It's like just getting up to my house. We're at the top of a pretty good sized hill. It's the first home I've had in a while where there's not the possibility of any puddles in our yard. There's not the possibility of any puddles in our yard because we're at such an angle. Like
Yeah.
when I spray my yard, put sprinklers on or whatever, like in Kansas, there was always a risk of our house flooding because we were always so flat. No matter how far away we were from the water table, an intersection can flood, can build up water, and eventually
Hmm.
take out a block, can flood a block. Uh, I don't think it's physically possible for this house to flood unless like Noah's Ark floods happens.
Yeah.
Uh, this house is not going to flood.
Yeah. Uh, my brother's out there in Atlanta, and in the first house they had out there, it was the same kind of deal. They were on a hill, but like I couldn't figure out how they even kept mulch in their beds because it was so steep.
Yeah.
Like from their house to the next door neighbor, it was such a steep decline. Um, but yeah, as far as run, are you lifting at all or just running?
Yeah, so I'll try to run 3 or 4 days a week, and the days that I'm not running, I'll hit a kettlebell DVD, and I got a 25-pound or a 35-pound kettlebell. It depends what exercise I'm doing, but I'm not trying to. I still have a torn labrum, and I have compressed disc, and
Yep.
I'm not trying to impress anybody. I just need to keep that functional going.
Yeah.
Kettlebell does a pretty good trick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've been lifting pretty consistently. I'm actually real happy with the consistency, but I know I'm confident that I've got a torn rotator cuff in my left shoulder.
Uh-huh.
I had my right one repaired a couple of years ago, and that was the most. It wasn't it was the second most pain I've ever had. The first was when I had uh, herniated disc in my neck, and the recovery from that surgery, I was not prepared. People told me how painful it was going to be,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, "Well, you don't know me. Like I'm a pretty tough guy. In case you didn't know." Holy cow, dude!
There was this old doctor that was in charge of all of our medical stuff when I was in not Fort Eustis, Camp Atterbury, Indiana. I was getting ready to go on a long deployment. I spent 4 months at this base doing some training before deployment, and it was at Camp Atterbury, Indiana. There was this old doctor that was in charge of our medical, like our actual medical wellness there, and I got I don't want to say, I got a very minor injury, like a sprained ankle, we'll say. A sprained ankle I got.
Okay,
And
was it actually a sprained ankle, or is that just what we're going to call it?
that's just what we're going to call it.
Okay, well, so I'm really curious. What kind of injury did you have that you're so embarrassed to say?
Obviously,
That,
the kind that I don't want to talk about.
well, but I want to talk. Uh, tell me afterward.
Sure, I will. Yeah, it's just something I don't want to talk about. I got an injury.
So sprained ankle.
Yeah, sprained ankle. He gave me a bottle that had 70 Vicodin in it.
Yeah.
For a week. He was like, "Here you go, discard after a week." I was like, "Okay, mission accepted. I got to get rid of these bad boys in a week."
Did he wink at you?
I don't know, but what I did is I actually followed the prescription to a T and didn't deviate from any doctor's orders. And
Really?
I mean, what else am I going to say? You're going to read me Miranda before I tell you anything else? I followed the directions of the doctors. What I did. Where was that? Where were we going with that?
I don't know. I was talking about just how painful.
Oh, your surgery was.
So right now, like it hurts, but I figured out, and it was the same when I had my right one. Like I can do close grip things like bench press or even shoulder press as long as I stay close.
No, keep showing me. Keep doing it.
Freaking weirdo. But if I come out at all, like even that right there, that hurts so bad. But there's a point where it's like, what's the point? I'm 44 years old. Um, don't have anybody to impress. Like outside of just being like just staying mobile, there's really not a point for me to be pushing and trying to continually increase my max. I
Well,
want
what you
to.
want to
There's
be
a
able to do,
drive to.
yeah. What you always want to be able to do is whatever you have to do. I look at fitness as preparedness. Like what I have to be able to physically do if something bad happens. And I've been in bad situations and I've seen bad situations. Like I know, but that feeling like I put myself in that situation with, God forbid, a kid or a family member, or, I'm just driving by an accident on the highway and I feel like I would be the person to get out and help, or I would want to. And if I can't get that person I have to be able to get that person out of a vehicle. I have to be able to get that person out of a ditch and carry them for an exit. You know what I mean? Potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I used to view running, was not so much like physically, but at some point someone is going to need something of me that I don't think I can do.
Yeah.
And I really felt like running long distances kind of conditioned my mind to be able to be like, yeah, this sucks, but I can do it. I can do anything for an hour
Yeah.
or, whatever.
Yeah, running kind of bridges that or crosses the barrier of that example of like just the functional fitness. Running serves more purposes than just being prepared, like mental discipline.
Yeah.
And I think heart conditioning is huge. Uh
I,
it depends on how you're training, but like the strengthening of your bones. Like if you have an appropriate running plan, your bones will get thicker from you running.
yeah.
So there's a lot of benefits to it.
I really feel like, now this was a couple years ago, and it was when I was doing longer runs, but I feel like I learned more from running than I did a lot of other things, like not just about life.
Yeah.
Like, that one of the things that I remember was, it always feels like you've got, like when you're running against the wind or you're running uphill, if you do a loop, because I like to run outside, if you do a loop or if you turn around, you're gonna have that same wind at your back now, or you're gonna
Yeah.
be right, but it doesn't feel like it. And so, like in life, um, it feels like the obstacles are always stronger than they are,
Yeah.
and the support is always feels like it's less than it is. But the reality is that this isn't that difficult,
Yeah.
and you're going to get the benefit of coming back the other direction,
Yeah.
or another one that I took was that everybody's running their own race,
Yeah.
and they're all recovering from different injuries. They've got different goals. They've got different, they're doing their own thing. And you may pass somebody that you're like, man, they're going so much faster than me. Well, yeah, but you're on a 10-mile run and they're on a 2-mile run,
Yeah.
or maybe they're a marathoner, maybe maybe the other, like you pass them and you're like, oh, I'm so much better, faster, whatever. Well, yeah, but they've got a
Yeah.
torn ligaments in their knee or whatever. Um,
Maybe they're just trying to stay in zone 3. Okay.
yeah, maybe they're not man enough for zone 4. I don't know. Um, but those are the sorts of things, and like, I would take, I would have like this third person perspective when I would run,
Yeah.
and I would just kind of constantly do like assessments, and I would be like, all right, I would refer to myself as his or Justin,
I'm
third
glad
person.
you refer to yourself as he is.
Yeah. His heart is doing good. He's starting to feel a little pain in his left knee.
Uh-huh.
And is weird, I know, but that's
That is a technique of mindfulness. That what you just described, the narrative, like the third person narrative, is a technique of mindfulness and is talked about in some and some practices of like reading your story like it was from a novel, as far as like having judgment on yourself, instead of, I mean, just exactly what you're talking about. Instead of my neck, oh, my knee, my lungs are feeling okay, and you're in it, and like you're almost overwhelmed, but at best not quite overwhelmed when you're in it. If
Yeah.
you separate yourself and look out of it in any situation, like can't
Yeah.
pay your bills, or can't, whatever it is, like it's more looked at as a temporary obstacle than it is this defining moment, which is what it feels like when you're in it. Because this is
Yeah.
my everything when I'm in it. This is my here and now. But if you separate yourself, you're like, oh, this is just a part of a sentence. It's not even the whole thing right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it also, I think, it helps just put things in perspective. Like, you know, uh, okay, his knee hurts, but he's gonna be okay, as opposed to, oh, my knee hurts. It makes it less personal, less intense, I think. Um, but that, I guess that's kind of, there's something I was listening to recently. Um,
I'm not
oh,
frozen.
I thought you froze. It basically talked about that, like, just removing yourself from or removing the emotions from yourself. Like,
Yeah, that's in the 4 agreements on don't take it personal.
yeah, okay, that's which is cool, because I didn't even, back when I was figuring that out and doing that, I hadn't even heard of that book, or even the concept.
Yeah.
If I had heard of the concept, I would have written it off as being whatever,
Mumbo jumbo.
mumbo jumbo crap. Um, but yeah, man, I really want to. I want to get back to running. I just can't do it. I just don't have
Why?
the drive
Oh,
to do it. It's like, it's less than a lack of desire. It's more aggressive than that. It's more like, it's not that I don't want to do it. It's that I actively do not want to run, and I've got no
why?
reason to.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know. It's the weirdest thing.
It's it
Um,
it's been my biggest weight loss tool. Like about a year, Christmas of 22, I was about 55 pounds heavier than what I am now. And
huh?
I've been doing other stuff than running, but running is definitely my big fat loss pill.
Yeah. Well, I need to do something, because I've been taking a bunch of fat gaining pills, I guess.
All right, so this is what I want. And it's an idea, and I'm just tossing it out there. I think it'd be cool. It's just a supplemental thing to put on our YouTube channel or even social media. And it's like whatever exercise you're doing, or like I was thinking about like what you're reading, or what exercise are you doing, or what are you doing to better yourself? Just something little like that, like a couple minutes to 10 minutes, something like that, to add on there, I think would be a cool thing. It gives you some chops at getting off of, I don't know, I wouldn't call it a crutch, but always having someone to bounce ideas off of. It gives you a chance to get off of that and kind of just flow on your own, which I need reps doing. And I think it'd be something cool that people would like. Like, you don't have to
Yeah.
be the expert. I don't want you to I don't think we're under any obligation to portray ourselves as the end all be all authority on fitness or stoicism or archery, but just to say, hey, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the idea. I'm not totally sure I understand the format. So I would say, if you have something.
No, I don't, but I can. I have a lot of ideas of just like almost like an extended version of an Instagram short of like, hey, this is my weekly routine, and I don't, obviously I'm not perfect at it, but this is what I strive for. Monday, I'm breathing, I'm meditating, I run for an hour. Tuesday, meditate, breathe, I do kettlebell. Wednesday, meditate, and I go through that, and like little shorts of me running, even though it's the opposite of meditation, but like a little short of you, like just sitting down in a quiet space, something like that. Making little things like that and putting it up on either socials or just YouTube,
Yeah.
as I think people would like that.
Okay. So, okay. I think I might have an idea what you're talking about. So
Yeah.
instead of you talking about your routine, you would show, hey, this is what I'm doing. These are the movements. These are the.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down with that.
Okay. Yeah. Just something to think about for the future. I'm about to turn into a pumpkin. I'm gonna hop off here. I'll call you later on. All right.
Okay, sounds good, man.
All right. I'll holler at you.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, sorry, I know the sound sucks. I don't have my mic set up. Same questions I asked at the beginning of the video. We just talked about it in there. I'm going to ask you again. If you want to hear us talk about any specific subject, within the realm of our very limited expertise, and that's with me, the Navy, and with both of us, law enforcement or real estate, write in the comments what you'd like to hear about. We also talk about exercise and family life, and there's other things, or people. If you have any questions, or for as far as topics want to hear, what you want to hear us say, put in the comments. As always, this episode was brought to you by Steadfast Real Estate Group of Heritage First Realty in Wichita, Kansas. If you're interested in buying or selling a home in the Wichita area, visit them on the web at steadfastict.com or call at 316-461-2806. If you're in North Georgia and you need help buying or selling a home, give me a call at 316-409-7907 or look me up on the web at claytonblackwood.harrynorman.com, or look me up there if you need any help buying or selling a home here in North Georgia. If you're in Wichita and you need your tub painted, call my two buddies, Jed and his life partner Alex. They are H&L Resurfacing. Call them at 316-209-4671. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.